Hi, I'm Javiera Perez, a graduate student in hydrological sciences at UC Davis. I'm originally from Chile, where I learned early on that access to water is not guaranteed. From summers in the dry countryside to my undergraduate training in agricultural engineering, and later through my role in government developing Chile's national adaptation plan for water resources, I've come to understand what water is not just a technical issue, it's deeply social. And that realization has guided every step I've taken. At UC Davis this summer, my internship focused on Northern California's Eel River and Scott Dam. There's a major transition underway. PG&E is moving towards surrender and decommissioning rather than renewing its license, raising complex questions for ecosystems and communities. Here's the context in simple terms. Scott Dam forms Lake Pillsbury at the Upper Eel River. As part of PG&E's Potter Valley project, water has been diverted through a tunnel into the Russian River system for over a century, supporting towns, farms, and water districts outside the Eel River watershed. But that also means blocked fish passage and major changes through the river's natural flow. Now, with dam removal on the horizon, we need to understand what happens next for fish, for water users, and for the broader region. My work in this summer was about building the foundation. I compiled and cleaned daily time series data of river flows and reservoir storage from across the watershed. I aligned dates, removed duplicates, and filled in gaps using a method called QPPQ, which uses patterns from well-documented stations to reconstruct missing values at others. Imagine the dataset like a book with missing pages. You look at the nearby chapters to figure out what probably goes in the blank space, so the story still makes sense. That's what I did, station by station across the Upper Eel River. With this curated dataset, I calculated incremental flows between gauges, basically how much water each reach contributes to the mainstream. I also checked for consistency using mass balance equations. All of this information was then integrated into a WIP model, so it's ready to support future hydrologic and planning systems. And of course, there were challenges, messy records, gaps, conflicting files, but that was part of the learning. There's something quite satisfactory about turning raw, chaotic data into something that tells a clear story, a story that helps people understand a river. And this experience also changed how I think about science. I used to picture it as something that happens in labs or in the field, but this summer, sitting at my desk, I realized that desktop work is still field work. You're still listening to the river just through patterns, time series, and models. And I really enjoyed that, taking something complex and making it understandable and useful. Thank you very much, and I'm especially grateful for my supervisor Laura Garza and my advisor Samuel Sandoval for their guidance and support throughout this experience.